So there are things that I have seen, mistakes that I've seen young people making. If we continue making them, it's going to mess us up. And it's going to mess us up financially. It's going to mess us up in terms of development. It's going to mess us up in terms of leadership. So the first thing is the subject of innovation. There is no way we can become innovative if we are not creative. And I want you to listen to me with all of your heart and just give it a certain level of seriousness. There is no way we can become innovative without being collaborative. What we call innovation in Kenya is called benchmarking. So tunaenda tunaangalia kitu yenye msee anafanya and we only make it better and we say we have innovated. Creativity in Kenya is dying. The average creativity rate of an average young person is at 57%. 57%. 57%. Boss, we are having a 57%. That's why we are not heavily invested in tech. I did a research and they were saying that Kenya is the Silicon Valley of Africa. But I've sat down and I've looked at young people who are into tech, and young people are just doing nothing. I want you to turn to your neighbor and ask your neighbor, what have you innovated in the last 22 years of your life? No, ask him genuinely. Nakupatie jibu manze. We cannot innovate unless we are able to take and invest in this subject of our creativity. And the reason why I wanted to speak about creativity is to show you what kills creativity. One of the things that kills creativity amongst young people is addictions. Mwalimu, Daktari, am I allowed to speak about these things? Just to go off topic kidogo. Is addictions. And addictions, especially to number one, pornography, masturbation, drugs. Pornography, masturbation, and drugs have the same effect on your brain. I was seeing, they showed me a picture. There's a rehabilitation center in Eldoret, and they showed me a picture of a brain scan of a young person who is addicted to pornography and a young person who is addicted to crack cocaine. And the same way the brain is eaten up by cocaine is the same way the brain is eaten up when a person is addicted to pornography. So pornography eats up your creative geniuses. Can I use vulgar language? Manze, can we talk? Situkue real mara moja, sindio? Every time, that is why, especially for boys, who the moment umefanya, you have done the deed, you lose a lot of energy, you lose your capacity to think. Kuna feeling ni kama your thoughts are full of haziness. There's an aspect of your brain that is dead. You cannot be creative in that level. So that's why most young people who are geniuses, they are in campuses. Do you know what it means to be in the university? My goodness, you go to the US and you see someone, Mark Zuckerberg invented Facebook when he was in university. In Kenya, mse mwenye ako university ana create memes za TikTok. It's interesting because we have deadened our creative capacities because of those issues of addiction. And so part of one of the things that you need to fight as a young people, as a young person, there are some of you who are sincerely against it and you are working your way out of it. But kuna wase hiyo kitu huwa inawabamba mpaka mna post memes ati leo manzi hajatokea so leo lazima nijisort. Boss, you are killing your brain. So number one is creativity. That's why as young people there's a certain level of, in the Christian space we call it consecration. There's a certain level of consecration that we need to have, especially when it comes to what we watch, what we listen to, what we hear, so that our minds can be able to be very creative and very sharp. Tell your neighbor, watch what you watch. If you continue watching porn for the next 5 years, I will tell you the truth, you're not going to do anything significant with your life. Yes. That's why I told you we needed to have a heart-to-heart conversation. The second thing about innovation is collaboration. So the first one is creativity. The second one is collaboration. Many young people have not mastered the art of collaboration. And collaboration in the sense of strategic partnerships and relationships. So many young people do not know how to keep friendships. Kuna madem hapa as we are speaking. I met a girl in Mount Kenya University where my sister studies. She was in first year in her first semester, but she had a body count of 15. Hey, nikamuuliza, madam. First year, 4 months only. There are some of us, in our 4 years in campus, we have dated up to 50 people. Na unasemanga tu, mimi ukitaka uende, I don't care, I know my worth, I have my self-confidence. We do not know how to build strategic relationships. That's why we are suffering even in terms of dating. We don't know how to build strategic friendships. If I ask you, who are the top 3 closest friends that you have held close to you in the last 5 years? Most of us, we don't have them. Especially madem. Madem ndo wanapenda kukosana. Msifeel vibaya manze na wapenda. Especially madem. You don't know how to build relationships. And when you don't know how to build relationships, you cannot collaborate with people. There are certain things you cannot do as a young leader or as a young person. So the second thing that we need to invest in is in strategic relationships. Another part of strategic relationship is collaboration usually has its foundation in networking. Kuna wase venye mmekuja hivi, mmekam watatu from your campus or from your university, utatoka without getting a new contact from here. So one person here, labda, is running a business. That's why, personally for me, I am looking for an opportunity. After we are done, I am looking for an opportunity to talk to all of you. Because I don't know, one of you might be my client. One of you may have a solution to help me grow my business. And so we must heavily invest on the subject of networking and relationship building. We must heavily invest in that subject. And there are 3 levels of relationships that you need. One is called upline relationships. These are relationships with people who have gone ahead of you. They have the money you don't have. They have the experience you don't have. They have the wisdom you don't have. Our send watakusaidia rise in life. That's why personally for me, 60% of my friends are people who are very old people. People who are 40 years and above. Because I know our send wako na do yenye mimi nahitaji kwa hii life. Our send wako na experience yenye itaniokolea. But some of us, we don't have relationships with people who have gone ahead of us. That's why ukimaliza campus, looking for someone who can become a referee for you, you don't even have anyone. Unapigia morio wako na mwambia we pretend tu wewe ni bazuu. We pretend to ongea na deep voice, sema we ni baba uko na watoto wa 7, because we have not built relationships with people who have gone ahead of us. Therefore, no one can endorse us. No one can introduce us to strategic spaces because we have not built those relationships. The second relationship you need is online relationships. And so online, this represents relationships with your friends. You need to create healthy friendships with people. I have 2 of my friends who are here, and I can tell you the truth. Any person who I call my friend, I love them with all of my heart. You will think that I am going too much, but I have invested on the subject of friendship. Invest in your friends. Some of us, your friends, they have a birthday, you don't even buy them a gift. In a pita tu hivyo, you don't say anything about it, and then you come back on Monday, hey, mzito uko wapi? Tuende tushike county. Build relationships with people. And then the last relationship you need is called downline relationships. These are relationships with people who are younger than you. You need to learn how to invest in people who are younger than you, who are less privileged than you. Help someone rise. Next year, I don't know if Isa is here. Isa, remind me next year I will be sponsoring 15 people to come for this event. Sawa, nikumbushe next year when it comes to how much is a ticket? Sini tu so? It depends with the utaniletea edition ya thao. Hapana manze. So next year I'll be sponsoring 15 people to come for this event, because these events are the things that can be able to help you grow in life. So you need to invest in people who are behind you, your brothers, your sisters, and young siblings. Another part of networking, you need to become extremely vocal in terms of how you network, because many young people do not know how to network. So especially kuna wase wenye wako hapa, you are introverts, you don't know what we should do. I was in an event and I was with a guy, a billionaire in this country. Nilimuona hapo, alikuwa amekaa kando yangu, and he was greeting people. Mimi nikaenda nikamsalamia, nikamwambia how are you, it's such a privilege to meet you. Akasema sawa. Akaniuliza what do you do, nikamwambia, akasema it's okay. Is there anything else? Nikasema no. And I went back. Saa hii as I'm speaking manze, ningekuwa nimekuja nimewaspoil hapa, ningekuwa nimepigwa milioni moja, but because I didn't know how to network, that opportunity just went like that. So as young people, we need to invest on the subject of networking. Isa, you'll tell me how many minutes I'm remaining with. There are 3 bonds that I teach on the subject of networking. Number 1 is called a wish bond. Wish bond means that when you're in a networking event, you must be able to clearly articulate to people what you want. So assuming I am meeting Enos and he's a billionaire, I will come and clearly articulate what I am doing, and I will tell him what I want. There's a guy mwenye aliulizwa, a rich guy alimuuliza, what do you want? Or what can I do for you? Huyu jamaa akasema, just pay my fees. He came and he told me that statement. I looked at him, nilikuwa nafikiria kumpiga, because this is a guy. How many of you know Cleo Malala? How many of you have heard of him? Okay. So Cleo Malala alimuuliza, what can I do for you? Akasema, pay my fees. Akamlipia fees 300k at once. But Cleo, after that I was having a conversation, akasema, if that young man would have told me to invest in his business, I would have done that. So Wishbone, know exactly what you want. Number 2 is Jawbone. You must master the art of communication. How do you talk to people? Talk in a very cultured way. And then number 3 is Backbone. Young people do not have what I call endurance capacity. Most of us are very, very weak. Ask your neighbor. No, muuliza neighbor. Wewe ni mnyonge. Most young people do not have what I call enduring capacity. I have one of my friends here is called Cave. Cave is atanipiga after this. Ameshtuka na niangalia na macho mbaya, but I'll have to give a story about him. So Keith does a business. He's a very rich guy. Ukitaka kuwa sponsored, ukitaka mbabas, Keith is there. He's there atakusponsor. But so Keith runs a business, and one time I visited him in his house, and he was doing there's what is called cold texting. So he was looking for clients. So he calls about 100 people per day. And so there are times he can call a client, na client anamwambia, I'm not interested in what you're offering. For some of us, if you do not have the enduring capacity to go through that, you're going to become weak and you're not going to make progress. One time I did an event and we had done a partnership of around 150,000. So that was like one of my first events to ever do. It was a high school event. So principal akasema atatupatia 100,000, si tukasema tutatafuta 50k. So the principal was supposed to sign a check of 100k. Akatusainia check of 30,000, took a flight to Nairobi and switched off his phone. And the event is supposed to happen the following day. So I had deficits of over 100,000 that I needed to get. Brothers and sisters, nilipigwa na high blood pressure. And if I did not have a strong backbone, I would not be doing what I'm doing today. I have done businesses that have crashed. I have invested money. There was a time I had a debt I think it should be in my second year of up to 250,000. A debt mpaka unajiuliza, even if I sell everything in my bed sitter, hata mkuje mniuze, hiyo pesa it will not come out of anywhere. I did all of those things, and there were levels where I thought that I should stop this thing, but because I knew the need to build a backbone, I became resilient. That's why over time, I'm not perfect. I'm not even close to where I need to be, but at least I'm making certain significant progress in life. Some of you started businesses and you stopped it. Some of you, someone discouraged you about doing something and you stopped it. Some of you, someone told you something and it broke your confidence and you stopped what you're doing, and right now you are just an ordinary young person. Tell your neighbor, don't be an ordinary young person. Refuse to fit into the status quo. Mimi nilijiambia bana, mimi hawezi niita comrade. How can you call me a comrade? Because the definition of a comrade ni msemo mwenye anainama, hadishi vizuri, analala saa 9, anaamka saa 5, ana focus na hii maisha, anakunywa kaunti, amechanganikiwa kwa hii life. I told myself that will not be my definition. And so I began to elevate. I began to raise a standard of my life. That there are certain sleeping hours. I cannot sleep more than 5 hours. Isa will tell you, last night I sent him a text at 3 a.m. By 7 a.m. I was still talking to him. Because the maximum amount of time I can sleep in a day is 5 hours. Because as a young person, if you want to make certain progress in life, lazima ukue tenacious and very bold, and you put certain standards for yourself. Work as hard as you can. You have a business, do it. Events kama hivi, invest in personal development events. Next time, alikuwa ananiambia ati people are giving excuses at 200. My brother, I have invested over 20,000 to go through a coaching program here 1 week. 20,000. And 200 inaweza sumbua mtu? No. Because young people, there's a level of tenacity and boldness in yatuna. So as I finish, I would like to encourage us to develop a strong backbone. That no matter the challenges of life that come in business, in career, don't give up. Don't kill yourself. Just make sure you sit down, focus, and you start afresh. Lamba glucose, endelea na safari. Amen. Now, I want to give some of you a sponsorship to one of our masterclass. 3 of you. The masterclass costs 3,000.